Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow out of Diagnostics. Guess what? It's the same day that we diagnosed the rich running Nissan Sentra. And now we're here to diagnose the 2004 rich running Nissan XTerra. I don't know how that is possible, but here we are. So this one actually starts up and runs. That's good. And it's setting just one code. Let's see what that is. P0172 System 2 Rich Bank 1. This is OBD2 generic data. Truck is cold. Let's go right into live data. We don't need OEM data PIDs, just the generic. Let's see if anything jumps out. Remember, Bank 1, 2 rich. So coolant temp, RPM, both in open loop. Intake air is 45. Long term, Bank 1 and Bank 2 are minus 25. Okay. Oxygen sensors. So it has 4 sensors. Bank 1 sensor 1, Bank 1 sensor 2, Bank 2 sensor 1, Bank 2 sensor 2. Short term trims. And that's it. So should we clear the code out? We don't really have to, but I do want to graph we can read the freeze frame just to save some time here. Were both banks running rich and it just tripped one code, or just bank? Oh, look, both Bank 1 and Bank 2 are minus 27%. Crazy. You're at 50 miles per hour, we're at 2,000 RPM, but only the 172 set, even though it looks like the whole engine is running rich. Okay, good enough for me. So I want to clear out the fault code. Yes. And now, in live data, just make sure they're open or closed loop. Again, intake air, RPM, mass airflow sensor, very important. That's the main on Nissans. That's the key player here to determine, on the fuel map. Engine coolant temp, obviously the voltages, and short-term trims, Bank 1 and Bank 2. Now that's 13 data PIDs. Guess we don't need intake air. Let's just go with that. Graph that. Let's fire it up, see what happens. Focus on the mass airflow data PID. It's chugging. I'm going to hold the throttle open. Okay, let it back down to an idle. See the data refresh rate, it's very slow. Even though we're only graphing 12 data PIDs. Now it's idling on its own. Let's see what the oxygen sensors do. Bank 1 sensor 1's waking up. Bank 2 sensor 1's waking up. Still an open loop. We're taking away 25% fuel. Now this is a 3-liter engine, V6, so we expect this at a hot idle to be around 3 grams per second. So I'm going to keep graphing the data until it goes into closed loop. We'll see what happens. Alright, we're in closed loop now. Minus 26, minus 27, minus 7, and minus 8. So the whole engine is definitely rich. So that looks like it's switching, even though the data refresh rate is very slow. Bank 1 sensor 1, Bank 2 sensor 1. Focus on those. So I'm going to hold the RPMs up a bit. It's in fuel control at least. But still, minus 25 and minus 15, so minus 40% almost. Okay, let it back down to an idle. I'll just power brake it. Yeah, I don't think there's much to diagnose here. So we'll wait till it warms up all the way, but that's a way too high of a reading right there from that mass airflow sensor. And the shop owner said that the sensor's not OEM. Well, go figure. What is this crap? Junk. Pure junk. We need an OEM sensor here. Without that, nothing is going to work. Look at that, over 6 grams per second. We're at, you know, 1,000 RPM here. I don't know if this video is even worth posting. Aftermarket junk sensors. If it has wires, go OEM, please. Especially if it has to do with drivability. There's a Chevy truck back there behind my truck which wouldn't run the catalyst or evap monitors. Erico just did a video. Aftermarket coolant sensors are miscalibrated and they show like 20 degrees too high, and then the truck doesn't know that you're doing a cold soak and doesn't run those monitors. Same exact thing with that truck. It's almost like deja vu. The same brand sensor. I'm like, didn't you watch the video? Yeah, Eric already told you what the problem was. Stuff like this. So we're down to 5.5 grams per second. That's way too high. But yeah, we need an OEM sensor. I don't know where you can get one, or at least maybe a Denso unit. I'll look in Rock Auto. But that's all that's wrong with this truck, really. Alright, so I want to do a little experiment here to prove out how far off out of calibration this sensor is. Now, I'm going to do that by introducing a controlled air leak before the throttle body but after the mass airflow sensor. This pipe right here, I can kind of tweak it so it either blocks the hole or opens it up a little bit. Disconnected the battery, reconnected it to clear out all the fuel trims. So let's start it up, get into closed loop, and see what the sensor needs to read for the fuel trims to be 0 at a hot idle. So let me log back in here. Alright, so the fuel trims didn't relearn with the battery disconnect, but you can see they're relearning. You just put it in gear, give it a little bit of gas, and they're coming right up with that vacuum leak in place. They're learning fairly quickly. Boom, minus 25 at idle. Let's see if it relearns at idle. Just different cells. You can see the oxygen sensors are stuck lean. there's a memory clear. I want to get rid of these fuel trims. Might have to log into the Nissan OEM side to do that. So in the Nissan OEM menu, this self-learning CONT function, I already did this, but it started at 75%, so basically 25% negative. And you hit start, and it resets both of these to 100%. So now our fuel trims should be back to 0. So let's go back to OBD2 and see what those fuel trims are, the long term. It's basically a forced keep alive memory reset for the fuel trims. Nice. Now our long terms are at 0. Perfect. That's the only way to do it. Disconnecting a battery won't do it. Start up. Okay, let's get this thing in a closed loop. There we go. Bank 1 sensor 1, bank 2 sensor 1. So now we're running to lean. You see the short term climbing towards 20%. Because we're at 2.4 grams per second. So what I want to do is play around with this air tube. Decrease this vacuum leak. Like so. See, I went up to 3 grams per second. Now we're going negative. See how sensitive these cars are to a proper mass airflow sensor reading? Now we're about 3.3. We're still dropping negative a little bit. Right there seems to have stabilized. Got -4, -9. See the oxygen sensor? It's actually responding now. So 3 grams per second is its favorite hot idle reading. Not 3.5, not 4, 3.0. It's a small metered air leak right there. If I let it go, make the air leak bigger, see we drop below 3, and we'll start adding fuel pretty quickly. The oxygen sensor is stuck at 0. We're going to keep climbing, climbing, climbing. Let's bring that back up to about 3. There we go. Short turns, drop back down. And if I plug this back in, more or less, there we go. 3.3. Now we're going to start going negative, negative, negative. 3.6. Too much. So that proves that one. Pretty straightforward scan data, aftermarket junk. For bonus footage, we have that green Danger Ranger. It's back on the road with a new engine computer. Has an ABS light, so we'll get the old trusty Snap-on out and scan that. Alright, Ford Ranger, ABS light is on, truck is running. How do we read the codes? Sometimes this is half the battle. So it says verify ignition's in the run position. Engine does not need to be running. Locate the black rear ABS RABS2 diagnostic connector. Diagnostic connector has two mating halves, one of which is a black-orange wire connected to it. This connects the two halves. I'm like, okay, well, where the heck is it? They don't tell you the location. So I looked on the wiring diagram, and right here it says RABS test connector, and it has a red and pink and light green and black. C140, that's under the hood. That doesn't make much sense. I looked again. There's another RABS test connector, C212. That one does have a black-orange wire coming to it, and it gets fed from this fuse, and that says RABS test / keep alive memory. Okay, that's the one we want to disconnect. Where does C212 live? C212 RABS test connector behind left-hand side of instrument panel taped to main harness near park brake assembly. Okay, so down here, and excuse the dinger because I don't want to keep this button pressed, I found the test connector right here. So we have to disconnect it and then ground this black and orange wire. Seems to be easy enough. Let's try to... Let me just disconnect it. Okay, so test light is grounded out. If I touch this side, it's gonna light up. We want to ground this side right here. I'm gonna jam my test light in here and see if that makes the light blink. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What are the codes? Oh, I hate this dinger, but I have to. Open ground valve reset circuit. The brake light will also be on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. Grounding wire start ABS flashing. Grounding wire does not start flashing. Yeah. Short flash ends with a long flash. Count the short flashes. Include the following long flash in the count to obtain the code number. 3 short flashes followed by 1 long flash indicates diagnostic trouble code 4. The code will continue to repeat itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, go to code number 4. Open grounded valve reset circuit. Go here. You might ask, why is someone bothering even doing this? I would just remove the bulb. Honestly. Let's, I don't know, let's read up on it. Alright, so here's a circuit. LBR goes here, and then it's grounded on black and white circuit 274. Okay, this is our dump ISO valves, I guess, and then a reset valve body. Okay, so 535 on the system diagram. This one right here. There's a reset switch. Valve reset input. Alright. It's not happy about that circuit. There should be a 22 ohm resistor to ground. So if we go to the module, which is behind the dash, measure the resistance, it should be about 22 kiloohms. Code 4 is generated by the module's detection of resistance falling below 18 kiloohms short or above 26 kiloohms open in this LBR. Indicate an open or short in the reset switch, circuit, or hydraulic leak into dump section of the valve. So I don't know how far shop owner wants me to go here. I'm going to ask him. This is a kind of a lost cause. Oh, just disable ABS. It's pretty much useless.